Hare Krishna to
Hare
all our
Krishna.
viewers who are watching this video. I am pretty sure that you all must be knowing that our Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the greatest book of the world. It is the most widely known text all around the world. Have you ever given thought conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, which is somewhat more than 5,000 years old? Does it make sense in today's time also? Is it relevant in today's time? The 700 shlokas spanned in 18 chapters is the most philosophical teachings in today's life that makes our life very meaningful. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the most influential philosophical text that shapes our spiritual thoughts, spiritual life, and spiritual path. Because of its major characteristics, it is deitylessness, religiouslessness, rituallessness, and makes a meaning in our life. So we should start reading. If we haven't started yet, it is a high time we should start reading and implement the teachings of Lord Krishna in our daily lives. So let's start our today's episode of Life Questions Insights from Gita. I welcome Tayal sir and Manu ma'am in our studios. Welcome sir, welcome ma'am, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So let's start our question answer session round. So the first question, how can the preachings of Gita be helpful in the context of COVID-19? So I would request Tayal sir to kindly answer to this question.
Very relevant question indeed. But first of all, let me prostrate before all of you listeners, all of you lovers of Gita. Whereas most people have been seen crying and criticizing COVID-19. But some people are definitely heard of reaping a lot of benefits from COVID-19. For example, we are conducting classes on Bhagavad Gita, course on Bhagavad Gita, where we are explaining Bhagavad Gita for last 12 years. There are about 16 to 18 centers running in Jaipur, and outside Jaipur also some centers are being run. So we normally remain very busy. We were thinking of starting online course in Bhagavad Gita also. But on account of paucity of time, we were never able to start. But this COVID-19, a blessing from Krishna, gave us time and we were able to start online course in May itself. It's a 6 months course where people have to attend just one class of 2 hours duration every week. That is just one class in the entire week. And second batch is running, first batch being completed very successfully. Everyone in the class, everyone who participated in the class, they find a change in their life. According to Gita, Krishna is the cause of everything. Mattah partaram nanyat kinchi dasti dhananjay. O Arjun, Dhananjay is Arjun's name. O Arjun, I am the cause of everything that's happening in the world. And remember, there is another shlok in Gita. Bhoktaram yagya tapsam sarvalok maheshwaram. Suraj sarvbhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichati. So devotees, knowing Krishna, that he is lover of everyone, and since he is the cause of all the circumstances that we get, how can ever any circumstance be harmful to anybody? It is bound to be beneficial to everyone. Hence, if he has sent COVID, it is certainly for our benefit and it can never be to our detriment. So just merely by understanding and accepting these two shlokas, that Krishna is the cause of everything and he loves everyone dearly, there would be no problem, no tension ever, whether it be COVID or anything else. Hare Krishna.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. This is very amazing when you have full trust. And I had read Gita Sar. So जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ, जो हो रहा है अच्छा हो रहा है, जो होगा वो अच्छा ही होगा. So if we really truly believe in this, this pandemic time seems to be a celebration time then.
Right.
Very nice, amazing. So now we have another question coming up from an anonymous call. The question goes like this: did Lord Krishna support violence or non-violence? If he wanted, he could have avoided killing human race in the battle of Mahabharat. I would request Manu ma'am to kindly answer to this question.
Okay. Of course, it's true that non-violence has been cited as Krishna in chapter 16 as one of those essential divine attributes which every person should cultivate within himself. And Swami Ramsudas ji has explained violence as not wishing anybody any evil and not speaking any evil of anyone, and of course not hurting anyone physically or mentally. This is his definition of violence. I mean, it goes a little deeper simply than physical violence. And so, of course, all this would convince us, and it definitely seems to imply that we should follow the creed of non-violence, whatever be the situation. We must follow that. But on the other hand, in chapter 2, from 11th verse, 11th shloka, where Krishna's divine lecture, divine sermon starts. From there onwards, Krishna has laid a lot of stress on the performance of a person's prescribed duties according to his caste, varn, etc. Krishna has explained there are 4 varnas among human beings: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And Arjun, right now the crucial point is he is talking to Arjun and he wants to remind Arjun about his prescribed duties. So Arjun is a Kshatriya, and it is the prescribed duty of a Kshatriya belonging to ruling class to protect his territory, his land, his property, and to defend his people. To defend his people against oppressors. And the Kauravas are nothing but that. The Kauravas, under the misguided Duryodhan, force Pandavas out of their kingdom of Indraprasth, which they had built with so much of labor, so much of love, and it was truly creditable that they were able to transform Khandaprasth into a wonderful place like Indraprasth, but the Kauravas cheated them out of it by that game of Chaucer, to which they invited Maharaj Yudhishthir. So now, in these circumstances, it has now become the Pandavas' supreme duty, their prescribed duty to fight the Kauravas in a very fair war. I mean, and to take back whatever the Kauravas have wrested away from the Pandavas. So Krishna, as a rule, is very cool, and he will be promoting all the gentle virtues like ahimsa, shama, karuna, satya, etc., etc. But when it is a matter of fighting a war, of fighting a morally justified war, then exceptions will be made. Krishna is not a puppet. Krishna is not a puppet even to his own principles. If at any point he has said something, he will not be bound in a different circumstance or different situation to go by those words or to stick by those words which he has spoken in another context. As the context changes, Krishna's attitude will change. Here and besides, why has Krishna come at all on earth in his avatar, in his incarnation form? Like he explains in the fourth chapter that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata अभ्युत्थानम अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. So he has come into this world to ensure that these evil persons, these oppressors, these tormentors and these very, very unjust persons who are keeping eye on another's property, they are annihilated. And his when he begins his Upadesh, he also convinces Arjun, he also consoles Arjun by saying that do not be disturbed by thinking, by anticipating that you are going to kill all these people who are related to you, for whom you have regard and love. There and then he explains the difference between Sharir and Shariri. And Krishna says, only if you fight this war, this morally justified war, it is only the bodies of your enemies which are going to be annihilated, which are going to be destroyed. The spirit dwelling within them, that is immortal, that is imperishable. Nothing can ever happen to that spirit. Nainam chinnanti shastranam, nainam dahyati pavakaha, na chenam kledyantapo, na shoshyati maruta. Meaning that spirit is immortal and nothing can ever destroy it. Therefore, Arjuna, go forth into battle and fight this dharma yuddha. This is Krishna's teaching. He is for non-violence as well as he is for fighting a moral war. He is for both.
Wow, this is so beautiful. I'm thinking that I am getting answers to so many questions inside me. You know that you should always abide by your duties and responsibilities. And the major responsibility of a warrior like Arjun, who became coward, and Lord Krishna took him into the stand to fight against the adharm. So really reminds us to fulfill our duties first. Oh, this is
Even today, the
beautiful.
poets are singing of Arjun as Veer. Lotade Arjun Bhim Veer. Now, who would have talked about Arjun as Veer Arjun? Unless Krishna had, wiped out all that attitude of cowardice from Arjun's mind.
Yeah, that's really Lord Krishna's teachings uplifting us also. So that's why I was thinking how it is relevant in today's time also, today's life also. It is so. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. So now we are getting a call live from, getting a live question from Nishant Dubeji. So let's connect Nishant Dubeji live.
Hare Krishna, sir. My question is to you is how do you conduct your day-to-day business activities or administration without having any desire? Is it really possible? Please answer this. Thank you. Hare Krishna, sir.
Wonderful. Nishant sir, you're very right in asking this question, because most people think that while conducting organizational businesses or while performing one's professional duty, you need to have, you definitely need to have desires. Otherwise, how would you attain your goal? So first of all, let us understand what do we mean by not having any desires. See, man can never be totally devoid of desires. But what we actually mean by not having desires is not to desire something for our own self. All the desires should be for the supreme goal, supreme Godhead of personality, that is Lord. Wishing that organization goals be attained, that way the goal is not going to be attained. For attaining the goal of an organization, we would have to put in efforts. And having desires, Krishna has very explicitly said in Gita, and we can all very easily understand that desires cause worries and tensions. Desires also envelops one's intellect. So if we are working with desires, we would be working with worries, tensions, and our intellect being enveloped. Just imagine how simple it would be to attain goal when we work without any tensions, without any worries, and with our full intellect into it. And Krishna has clearly said, Avratam Gyan Metin, Gyanino Nitya Varina, Kam Rupen Konte, Dushpurena Nalencha. Avratam Gyan Metin, desires envelop one's intellect. And like fire, desires are never satisfied. So, if we have to put in best efforts, we must definitely work even in the organization, even for administration, without desires. And day-to-day life, of course, desires, even in day-to-day life's working, desires should not be there. Now let us also see what is the right way of working. I'll quote two verses from Gita. In the first one, Krishna says, Yogastha Kuru Karmani. You perform your activity being in yoga. What is yoga? Now he goes on to elaborate. Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjay. Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yog Uchyate. Maintaining equanimity is yoga. So, right way of performing one's duty would be to be situated in equanimity, not get disturbed by whatever results one gets. Another verse, he tells the right, again, he very explicitly says that this is the actual method of performing activities. What he says is, Buddhi Yukto Jahati, Buddhi Yukto Jahati Ubhe Sukrit Dushkrito, Ubhe Sukrit Dushkrite, Tasmad Yogai Yujasva Yoga Karmsu Kaushlam. This is the way to work with dexterity. Maintaining equanimity, being situated in equanimity is performing your work with dexterity, not having desires. That's it.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Because desires, if fulfilled, will be caught up into more desires. If unfulfilled, it'll drain out our energies completely, and we'll hardly be able to work properly. So beautifully said. Amazing. So let's have our next question. Our next question comes from Mrs. Shipra Agrawal. She's connecting online with us, and she's from Raipur.
Hare Krishna. There are more regulations imposed on women in our society. Their duty involves doing all the material activities. Gita preaches only to perform spiritual activities and not to get attached to the materialistic activities. Thus, what should women do to not to get entangled in this world?
Well, we all know, and I personally know that women are traditionally burdened with all the menial jobs which keep a family in good spirits, in good health, and the home and make the home comfortable, the life comfortable for all the members of the family. Of course, this trend is visibly changing in many families today, but it is still sufficiently widely spread for it to be the issue and a matter of a question. So, women have been timelessly celebrated in song and poetry for effacing themselves, for sacrificing themselves, for remaining silent and non protesting. Like a poet has said of women that, oh woman, in our hour of ease, uncertain, cruel, and hard to please, when pain and anguish knit the brow, a ministering angel thou. Meaning, a woman should be that kind of person who fulfills in people's lives the role of mother, wife, servant, I mean, every possible kind of role, and then they are praised for that. So, service with a smile is supposed to be the woman's motto, and the jobs she has to do are directly linked to this material world: cooking and cleaning, washing, dusting, and whatnot. I mean, there's no end to the list of labors. And so, one of our conscientious Gita seekers, Mrs. Shipra Agrawal, finds herself disturbed by thinking that by getting engrossed in all these worldly activities, am I not going against Krishna's instruction that we must not get absorbed or engrossed in worldly activities, and at all times we should be engaged in spiritual activities which should take us towards Krishna. So she is disturbed by this, and that is why the question has come up. Well, here I have to point out that Krishna has not said anywhere in Gita that a person should engage only in spiritual activities. Swami Ramsukdas Ji has explained this, saying that Krishna does not prescribe anywhere in Gita that for attaining him, a person should renounce family, job, profession, etc., and engage only in name chanting, dhyan, singing hymns and praises for his glorification. The gist of Krishna's teaching is that wherever you are, in whatever situation or condition you are, just keep it very firmly entrenched in your mind that my remembrance should be your primary occupation. That should be your main concern. Remember me at all times and also engage in your prescribed duties. Like in Gita and the words of Krishna himself, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmar yudhecha mai arpit manobuddhir mame veshyasya sanshay. Mam anusmar yudhecha. मुझे भी स्मरण करो, मुझे स्मरण करो, मुझे भी नहीं. At all times, remember me and also perform your duties. Now, Krishna's superhead formula is only this, that you can attain me while performing your worldly duties, all the duties which have come your way in your particular situation, but only with one proviso. And that proviso is that while performing your duties, your mind, your heart should be totally, firmly engaged in me. And my remembrance should never fail you at any moment. And the remembrance, the name chanting, or the remembrance of Krishna, that should be of primary importance to you. It should not be that work which you have to perform which should have primary importance, but it should be the remembrance of Krishna. And do not say to yourself while performing your duties for your family members, whoever it might be your son, your husband, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your brother-in-law, whatever. It should not be your attitude that I'm performing all these jobs for them because they are mine. They belong to me, they are my family. No, do not say to yourself, today I must prepare gajar ka halwa because it is my husband's favorite dish. Or you say that I'm preparing this bowl of fruit because it is my mother-in-law's Ekadashi Vrat. No, it is, you should not have that attitude. You must do everything for them. Do everything for them and treat them also gently, but not because they belong to you. Forget this sense of belongingness with persons of the world. You know, think of them, but we have to think of them as divine fragments of Krishna. We must think that they, as well as we, all of us, belong to Krishna, and that is why we are performing these duties for them in such an affectionate manner, because they are fragments of Krishna. For Krishna's sake, we have to do all these duties, and when we serve our family in this way, it will never implicate us in worldly attachment.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for reminding me this super formula of Lord Krishna that whatever you do, just offer it to me and never forget me any single moment. That is so amazing, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's come up to our next question. It is said that tensions and worries increases the blood pressure. How would Gita be helpful in handling the blood pressure? Even I am very interested in this question. So I would request Tayal sir to kindly answer to this.
Very rightly said. I don't know whose question is it, but it's very rightly said that tensions and worries increase one's blood pressure. If you put in such a question to a motivational speaker, he's going to give you very long lectures on that. But Gita is something which is exemplary. It is divine. It attacks at the root of every problem. It answers practically every question in single sentence. You know, in an organization where the executives are working under great work pressure, under great tensions, they send executives on holidays. They take a break by engaging themselves in seminars which are conducted normally in a five-star like environment. They ask executives to perform meditation. Sometimes meditation sessions are performed within the organization as well to ease their tensions and worries. But these are all very short-term measures. Just think of it, performing meditation, does it help them in getting rid of tensions and worries for all times to come? No, it's a very short-term measure because as soon as you come out of meditation, again the tensions and worries build up. If you go on a holiday, as soon as you return from the holiday, what happens? You again get under that work pressure and are now subjected to those tensions and worries. So that's never the solution. Krishna says in Gita, you know, Arjun had asked a similar question. He said that how can people be happy? Why? What could be the way? What could be the way by which they relinquish their unhappiness? sinful activities. So Krishna replies, Kam esha krodesha rajo gun samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyeni varina. So it is the desires which are which compel you to delve into sinful activities. It is a voracious eater. It will eat everything that you have and know it to be your eternal enemy. So, you can really just think of it. Can any leader, any neta be devoid of tensions and worries because he has so many desires? His chief desire is to remain in the seat that he is occupying. He should not be he should not be made to get rid of that power position in which he is. And that compels him to take a lot of decisions which he would not otherwise take. Think of a CEO of any organization. Does he have not sufficient tensions? Why talk of them? Why not talk of you yourself? Everyone in this world is full of worries and tensions. It is simply because they have a lot of desires, and desire is extremely voracious eater. It eats everything that you have. Certainly your peace it eats. So desires meaning things should happen according to your wishes. So whether you like it or don't like it, if you want to get rid of tensions, you would have to leave desires. I'll narrate a very short story on this. Samudravarth was a minister in King Chandragupta arena. So one day they were just walking and a voice was heard from behind. Do you want gold? He said, what? Do you want gold? He said, surely. So the yaksh are what? Gnomes. So anyway, so yaksh gave him six pots full of gold, and the seventh pot was half filled with gold. Now Samudravarth, he started performing frantic actions so that that seventh pot also becomes full of gold. So his peace was lost. He forgot about eating food on time. Everyone was amazed. Then King Chandragupta told him, well, those gnomes, those yaksh, had not come to give you anything. They had come to take away your peace, put you under worries and tensions. He understood and returned the pots of gold to those yaksh. So if we can get rid of our desires, and we need to get rid of our desires, then only we could be happy and satisfied in our life. Hare Krishna.
So more desires will give birth to more tensions. More tensions will give birth to the, more ups and downs in the blood pressure, and more ups and downs in the blood pressure will give you more diseases. So it's better to shut down the desires and just work in a very peaceful way, and making that offering to the Lord Krishna itself. So very beautifully explained. So I really get super excited to get the answers directly from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So let's put an end to our today's episode. Dear viewers, if you want your questions to be answered in a very logic way, directly from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, directly coming from Lord Krishna, and being explained beautifully with all logic, by Tayal sir and Manu ma'am. You can post your questions in our YouTube channel, Facebook link. The details are being displayed on the screen. Thank you all. We are waiting for your questions. Till next, Hare Krishna.